Hi everybody, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for Monday the 15th of July going through until Sunday the 21st of July 2019. Thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you this week. We have a lot going on. We've got a partial lunar eclipse happening on the 16th. There are a lot of relationships that the planets form with one another up in the sky. So what these weekly horoscopes are about is I give you a day-by-day rundown of what each day is likely to be like in terms of the energy, so you can prepare and you can make the most of the day. And I look at the relationships the planets form, because astrology is based on the principle of as above, so below. So if there are major dramas happening up in the sky with the planets, then that can translate into drama here on planet Earth, and looking at it will show you the best way through that, or how you can even use it to your advantage, and how you can use that to harness that energy in a way that actually benefits you. So also remember that my horoscopes are based on UK time. So the eclipse that happens at 10:39 in the evening UK time on the 16th. So for a lot of you east of the UK, so Dubai and India and Malaysia and Tokyo, Japan and Hong Kong and Australia, it'll happen on the 17th of July. Now I've had a look at this week, and it's not the easiest of weeks, but it's a week where we can really make a lot of progress and where we can really develop as human beings. And you know, we all want easy peasy weeks where we can just sit under the, sun umbrella and lie on the beach and just go, everything's wonderful. But the weeks like this, where we actually have to do a little bit of work on ourselves, they are more rewarding in the long term because we get more out of them as people. So on Monday the 15th of July, we have the moon in Capricorn. When the moon is in Capricorn, you feel very serious and you feel very much focused on what your work is and what is at hand, what needs to be done. And it opposes the love planet Venus, which is in Cancer. So the opposition between the two means that Capricorn, I need to work, is right here, and Venus, love, and you need to love other people and express your love by taking care of them, is all the way over there. So you're not going to have very much to do with that. The Capricorn moon also squares Chiron in Aries. Chiron is the centaur who taught medicine to the other gods in mythology. And Chiron in Aries is about taking the initiative to heal. So the fact that there's friction between the moon and Chiron is really quite a good sign, in the sense that if you want to heal certain things within yourself, Monday is a good day to work on those things. And finally, the Capricorn moon, it trines, so it forms a harmonious relationship with Uranus and Taurus. And Uranus is the planet of the eccentric, the unexpected, the chaotic, and that's in Taurus. So anything can happen. Any wonderful, miraculous thing that you couldn't even have imagined. You know, when you start working on something and you're working towards completing something, and suddenly an amazing idea pops out of nowhere, and you're like, if I add this, it'll make the project even greater. So that's the kind of Uranus energy that just kind of slides in there sometimes and gives you this really unexpected, miraculous, genius idea that you could have never thought of by yourself. So on Monday the 15th of July, the focus really is on creating order within the chaos of your real world. So the physical world, your physical life, and to take control of all of those things that are in your physical life. So your finances, your daily routine, and your physical health. To take your power back in those areas and to organize them, to make sure that things are the way you want them to be, and it's serious, and you're looking at it and you're saying, I like this, I don't like this. You're very decisive, you're very practical, and if something doesn't suit you, you will know, and you will take the action to work towards changing that and making a change. On Tuesday the 16th of July, We have the partial lunar eclipse, which is also a full moon in Capricorn, which sits on the south node, and that happens at 10:39 in the evening. Now, I've spoken a lot about this, and I've made a separate video on it. We've had two eclipses in July. The first one was on the 2nd of July. That was a new moon in Cancer, which was interrupted, and that was a total solar eclipse. So if you were in South America, especially on the west side of South America, you could see the sun being blocked out. And when a new moon or a full moon is interrupted via an eclipse, the energy that it goes through, usually which lasts a couple of days, because of the interruption, it lasts 6 months. It kind of gets stuck astrologically, and the energy is with us for 6 months. Now, I've made a separate video on this partial lunar eclipse. In Capricorn, first of all, it's a full moon, so the moon is completely lit up and it showers us with Capricorn energy. So it's set goals, work towards achieving those goals, be practical, make things happen, be the best that you can be. And on the south node, it's about releasing things that do not serve you. So if you work really, really hard at something and you don't get anything out of it, but it really is like, takes up a lot of your time, but is pointless, you don't make a profit with it, it doesn't help you in your actual work, you may start to recognize that and say, maybe I can leave that out and replace it with something else. So it's an eclipse that's over the next 6 months is going to help you work in a way that is smarter, rather than seeing you work harder and working yourself into the ground trying to make something happen, where if you tweak something a little bit, you could have a much greater effect and you could turn things around much more easily. So the eclipse is going to help you in terms of the way you think about your work and what you do with it. Now, also on this day, obviously the moon is in Capricorn. It opposes Venus in Cancer, so Venus is on the outs here at the beginning of the week. And Venus is the planet of love, beauty, and creativity. In Cancer, it's about taking care of other people. So that's all the way over there. We're not so interested in that astrologically. And obviously it opposes the sun in Cancer because the sun totally lights up the moon. There's also an opposition between Venus in Cancer and Saturn in Capricorn. So it's Capricorn and practicality versus Cancer, love, nurturing, taking care of, being there for other people. So, like I said, look at the working side of things and kind of side with that if you can. I mean, if you're in a situation where someone needs help desperately, then obviously go and help them. But if you have the luxury of looking at your own life and saying, how can I tweak my work so that it's more effective for me and it has a better result, a better outcome, so it creates more abundance for me, then look at that and start to think about how you can change your working life and your behavior around your work so that it actually makes your life richer and more abundant and more prosperous. Because I mean, that's why most people work, to create financial freedom or stability for themselves. So you'll get ideas that will help you. Allow the universe in and say, I'm open to ideas. I don't need to just be a genius by myself and come up with all these ideas to change my working life. Universe, come in and support me and help me. So ask for help, ask for guidance, and literally open up and say, we're open for ideas, people. Talk to me. The Venus and Saturn opposition is quite significant because Saturn is rigid. It's about how do we create structure and security, and Saturn is the astrological kind of head teacher. During a Saturn return, which happens 3 times in life, you're really kind of questioned when it comes to what are you doing with your life? Are you living your life purpose? Are you on track? And if you're not on track, then Saturn can be really heartless and merciless, and it can kind of implode your life for you. So if you're, it happens 3 times, so it happens between the ages of 28 and 29 and a half, 56 and 58, and 84 and 86. And if you're at one of those stages in your life and you don't know what direction to take in your work or in your life purpose, then have a reading with me if you can't figure it out by yourself, because Saturn has certain plans for you, and when you actually go with Saturn and what the planet wants for you, it paves the way for you to kind of skip along. It makes it much easier for you to progress. So we've got structure and work versus love. So that may, because you're siding with the business side of things, it may cause you to think about things in a very effective, productive way. But also remember that you're a human being, you're not a robot. And remember to take care of yourself while planning this future glorious business empire of yours. And also think about how you may feel doing all this work that you're thinking about, and whether you're taking on too much or not, whether you're just piling it on and saying, oh yeah, I can do everything. You know, it's like when you agree to meet someone for a lunch date or something. I'm guilty of this. I did this recently to my friend Stephanie. She was really annoyed. Oh yeah, I'll meet you for lunch on that Saturday. And then that Saturday actually comes along and you realize you're really, really busy and that you can't take, you know, an hour's train ride up there and then another half-hour tube ride to get to a restaurant to have a lunch for, you know, an hour and then have another hour and a half journey back just to have a little, you know, tete-a-tete. That it just, I'm too busy, I can't fit that in. And then you cancel on your friend and then they're kind of miffed. Make sure that you don't repeat that kind of thing with your plans for your work and future here. Oh yeah, I'll be able to do 80 hours a week, no problem. When you actually get to it, you're like, I can't work this hard, I need a break. So love yourself through this working effectiveness planning. And if you're retired, same thing. What are you working towards? What are you working on? On Wednesday, the 17th of July, the moon moves into Aquarius at 20 minutes past 10 in the morning. So now we've got a shift from really being serious and work-oriented and stoic. That's the other thing about Capricorn. It is very much, I don't show feelings. So you're not going to be able to access how you will feel about these changes until you actually get there, because Venus is on the other side of the chart. So you have to do a little bit of thinking for yourself and look at your experience and say, in these high pressure situations, I usually feel. So for instance, I work best under pressure and it brings out the best in me, or I go to pieces, or it makes me feel run down, or whatever it may be. You weren't born yesterday, you know yourself. So make use of that self-knowledge. And you see, that's why looking within sometimes isn't just a pointless exercise. It's important to know how much you can do and how much you're capable of, because then you can plan for the future. So with the moon going into Aquarius on Wednesday, it's much more focused on communication, teaching, being a humanitarian. The Aquarius moon, it opposes Mercury in Leo. Mercury is the communication planet. It's big, it's about itself, and it's in retrograde at the moment. So the moon has nothing to do with the ego, look at me, attention seeking. It's got nothing to do with that. So that's the furthest thing from your mind. And it also opposes Mars in Leo. So a lot of competition, ambition, trying to beat out other people who are doing something similar. Zero interest in that. So you're not particularly competitive. If anything, you see other people through rose-tinted spectacles, and you see people as a human family who you can help. The moon squares Uranus and Taurus, so there's friction between what you're trying to express and the chaos that's brought up by Uranus. And again, it forms a harmonious sextile with Chiron in Aries, Chiron being the wounded healer. So on Wednesday, things calm down a lot in terms of your practical life. And you kind of have the time and the space to gather the insights that you came up with yesterday during the eclipse, and you can now plan ahead and use those to heal your working life so that you can communicate more effectively with yourself, with other people, and that ultimately you can be more of a humanitarian. So in a sense, you're asking yourself, how can I add more value to the work that I'm doing? And again, that applies if you're retired as well. How can I make my work more universal, more universally understood, so that more people can benefit from what I'm doing? On Thursday, the 18th of July, we have the Aquarius moon opposing Mars in Leo still. Mars is the red planet of desire, drive, masculinity, what I want and what I wanted yesterday. And in Leo, it's in a very comfortable placement. It's Mars rules Aries, which is the first sign of the zodiac, and it's a fire sign. So it being in Leo is very, very happy, because Leo is also a fire sign, and it gets to be big and booming and say, look at me, and this is what I want. But with it being on the other side of the chart, it's really much more about thinking about how you can let go of negativity, how you can let go of just thinking about yourself all the time, and how you can be of service to others. The Aquarius moon also sextiles Jupiter in Sagittarius, so it forms a harmonious relationship with the good luck planet. And that says that if you kind of explore new things intellectually or on a physical basis, if you are teachable and if you are open to learn new things, you'll experience good luck. Venus in Cancer trines Neptune in Cancer. Neptune is the water planet of dreams and imagination, and it's really the fog of the other side. Like, if you've ever read The Mists of Avalon, what happens is that there's a world within a world. So you've got Glastonbury Tor, and for the Christians, it's got a church on the top of it. But if you go through the lake, the mists, and you know the secret kind of password, then the mists open up for you and you enter this different land where it's the same Tor, but it's on a different dimension, and it's got a stone circle at the top of it. So it's almost being able to slide into another dimension, into another version of your reality. You know, I'm sure in another dimension there's a version of me that is straight and married with 5 kids. Imagine that. So I really believe that there are different dimensions, and we choose the dimension we occupy for a reason, because that's what's most useful to us on a soul level, so that we can advance and progress. So Thursday is a wonderful day for you to collaborate with others and to join forces. And that includes your other selves on different dimensions. So if you're self-employed, collaborate with someone on a new project, if you can schedule it in, if you've got time. The example that comes to mind is Warhol and Basquiat, the artists. When they combined their work, they came up with amazing stuff. If you do work with other people on a day-to-day basis, it's fabulous to brainstorm together and to come up with delightful creative insights. There's not a lot of conflict here because, again, Mars is on the other side of the chart. If you're intuitive or psychic and you do it for a living, really fill your calendar here on Thursday, because you'll be able to access psychic knowledge, the Akashic records, the collective unconscious really, really easily, and you'll be able to give people the answers that they need accurately and more easily than usual. Because with every intuitive or every psychic or every reader or healer, there are certain days where you just feel the energy, and there are days where it's more difficult and you have to kind of push a little bit harder. Thursday with Neptune and Venus, love. The personal planet Venus is love and beauty, and Neptune is like the higher octave of love. It's love for humanity and for the world. With those two trining each other and working together, it really enables you to express your love for other people by providing them with information that they need to thrive. If you're by yourself on this day, and if you're a creative type, and if you're expressing yourself, that's going to go really well, because again, there's a very fine line between the imagination and the intuition, and you'll be able to be inspired to create this masterpiece. And also, if you're not creative, going on a trip and experiencing different places and different points of view and different vistas and perspectives is going to be a lot of fun, and is going to provide you with a sense of, wow, I'm broadening my horizons, I'm experiencing something new, I'm really having a good time here. So as you can see, it's a mixed week where you're expected to show up quite a lot, and you're expected to engage with this changeable energy to progress and advance. Now on Friday, the 19th of July, we've got the moon going into Pisces at 20 past 10 in the evening. So it's still in Aquarius for most of the day. So it's in humanitarian mode rather than spiritual psychic mode until the evening. But Mercury, the communication planet, retrogrades. It's in retrograde at the moment until the 31st of July. When Mercury is retrograde, we always expect, and we usually get, it's actually interesting, do we manifest technical problems during a Mercury retrograde because we expect them? So, oh, it's Mercury retrograde, my post isn't going to be delivered, the trains aren't going to be on time. I wonder how much of our belief in Mercury retrograde actually creates those things. It's kind of an interesting question. But Mercury does mess with communication and transportation in a real way, whether we believe in it or not. And there is room for misunderstandings and miscommunication. But with it going backwards now into the zodiac sign Cancer, it's going back into a water sign. So there's a lot more room for emotional miscommunication. So with the moon going into Pisces on Friday, we're feeling our feelings, okay? We're in our feelings. Feelings are going to be important and paramount. With the Mercury retrograde already making it possible for things to kind of go awry between people, now with the added element of Cancer, the family sign, makes it really, really easy to say something off the cuff and for the other person to be hurt by that, or to misunderstand it, or to get your feelings hurt. So make sure that you don't overthink things on an emotional level, and be mindful of criticism that you give out to others, and be aware that other people are a little bit sensitive too. You know, so I'm not a big fan of constructive criticism anyway. Most people, to be honest, aren't. Most people don't like to be challenged. Most people don't like to be criticized. So this is which sometimes has to be done. If you're at fashion school and you think you're the bomb and you're creating dresses that don't fit anybody, you need to be criticized so that you can fix that and create dresses that actually work, right? So it's a necessary evil, but just be aware that during this time here, starting Friday the 19th, and Mercury with its being in retrograde for the rest of July is going to stay in Cancer now for the rest of July, that people are going to be more sensitive. The plus side of that is with Mercury being in a water sign, and when it's a Mercury retrograde, we have an opportunity to think about things in a different way and to look at things in a different way. It's really, really good for intuitives and psychics and intuitive astrologers like myself and tarot readers to do readings, because we're able to access the higher realms through a different entrance that we haven't used before. And because it's in water, Mercury, the communication planet, is in water, our antennas are naturally more aligned with the higher realms. So if you're someone who's been meditating for a long time and you haven't had that breakthrough, from the 19th onwards, really throw yourself into meditation and connecting with the higher realms, because you're just naturally more on that frequency. And if you read for yourself, or if you want to figure out things for yourself, what is my purpose, you know, what is my deceased loved ones, what do they want me to know, from Friday the 19th onwards, you'll find it much easier to receive those messages. On Saturday the 20th of July, the Pisces moon squares Jupiter in Sagittarius. So there's friction between my feelings and good luck through travel and moving and being open-minded and teachable. And the Pisces moon sextiles Uranus and Taurus and Saturn in Capricorn. So it's friends with the practical side of things. And because of this recipe we've got on Saturday the 20th of July, there will be a desire to stay home, to stay put, and to organize your emotional life and to kind of declutter things emotionally and physically. So by tidying up your living space, for example, or by doing a Facebook cull of people who are no longer useful to you. The reality, though, is on Saturday, it's counterintuitive. The reality is that you'll get most out of the day if you work with Jupiter in Sagittarius, and if you get out of yourself and you go on an adventure and you try something completely new, either spiritually, like you go on a spiritual trip, you try a different type of meditation. Mercury in retrograde, remember, it allows you to connect in a different way, in a new way that you're not used to, or to go on an actual physical trip to be connected with different places, cultures, people, things, ways of seeing the world, making new friends, all of that stuff. So on Saturday, please make some time, rather than to feel, okay, this is my opportunity to get everything organized and you know, get everything cleaned up. Have a dirty house, go on an adventure, do the dishes tomorrow. All the clean freaks are going to be telling me, God, this dirty astrologer is telling me not to tidy my house. But I'm telling you that there's always time to tidy things up, and there's time to organize things. And these adventure days don't come along every day. And I think it's important to use the adventure days, especially if they open a whole new way of communicating for you, that is an opportunity that you ought not miss. That's my take. Finally, on Sunday the 21st, and can you see how this week is rather complicated? I mean, there's a lot going on here. Sunday the 21st, we've got the Sun in Cancer. It conjuncts Mercury in Cancer, so I feel, therefore I am. Not I think, therefore I am. I feel my way through things. And because Mercury's in retrograde, even if I get the wrong end of the stick and I've taken something totally out of context and I've misunderstood something, then those feelings guide me and lead me. So make sure you let the higher realms in, and you talk to your guides, your angels, your higher self, and say, am I right in feeling this way, or am I blowing things out of proportion? Or if I put myself into this downward spiral emotionally by then adding, well, and 5 years ago this happened, and don't forget that you were snubbed 2 years ago as well. So, you know, all of those things, we can really work ourselves up. Venus is in Cancer. It opposes Pluto in Cancer. Pluto is the planet of transformation and change. So, that can't be right. No. Venus is in Cancer and Pluto is in Capricorn, excuse me. because Capricorn is on the other side of the chart, and Venus is in Cancer, so they oppose each other. Pluto is about transforming your physical world. Venus is about expressing love for other people. So do I transform my own life and my own world, or do I put my own needs aside and help others? The Pisces moon, which is very self-sacrificing and very much about let me be of service to you. So Pluto doesn't really have much of a chance here. Pisces moon conjunct Neptune in Pisces, so Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, the moon sitting right on top of the water planet. It's like, I am my feelings. I am feelings. It's a mood. The moon also trines Venus and Mercury in Cancer, and they sextile Saturn in Capricorn. So we have a lot of watery energy going on here again today. And we have a little bit of earthy energy, but it really, again, doesn't stand a chance through this amazing barrage of watery energy. So the Sun in Cancer, my identity is about my feelings. Mercury in Cancer, the way I think is feeling based. The moon, the most sensitive part of who I am, is in Pisces. The way I feel is paramount. Venus is in Cancer. I love to nurture others, and I'm in the element of water. So a load of planets in water here. Again, this is another fabulous day where the veil between this world and the next one is super thin because of all the water in the atmosphere. It's like, astrologically, this is like living an island, okay, where it's always like got this mist of rain in the air. You're able to meditate and to discover really life-changing and significant insights, and to use those and to apply those insights to make changes to your practical physical life. Go for a reading to hear important messages if you're not clear on things. Express yourself creatively to build something that's going to take on a life of its own. It's a day of channeling spiritual energy. So the spiritual energy is going to kind of descend on us, and it's going to take form and shape somehow. So through the way you speak, or through different works, whether they're artistic or musical, or ideas that are turned into new inventions and new scientific breakthroughs and all of those kind of things. The spiritual energy will come down and creatively inspire all of humanity, anyone who's got a heart and feelings and who is awake and willing to be taught. So I really think on Sunday there will be some sort of breakthrough that's going to benefit all of humanity, which is saying something. So it's a full-on week. It's really intense. Remember not to take things too seriously when it comes to your feelings, and to give the other person the benefit of the doubt when it comes to kind of saying, was that an insult or not? If you're questioning that, like, was I snubbed or wasn't I snubbed, or was that remark directed at me to hurt my feelings? If you have to like work it out, then just let it go and give that person the benefit of the doubt, because Mercury is in retrograde and you may be a little bit hypersensitive, overly sensitive to things that may have nothing to do with you. You know, like when I'm overly sensitive, if I'm walking around and I hear people laughing in the background, it's immediately about me. They're laughing at me. They saw me walk by and they thought I looked ridiculous and laughed at me. The whole world does not revolve around me. And the whole world does not spend all of its time thinking about Gregory Scott. And just realize that for yourself, you know? The whole world doesn't spend all of its days thinking about you. Most people don't get up in the morning and think, how am I going to make fun of Gregory Scott today? People don't think like that. People are more involved with their own stuff, you know, how they're going to pay their bills and their own relationships and things like that. So when you get to that place of, oh, am I being insulted? Am I being laughed at? Usually it's just up here where you're being triggered, and the potential to be triggered from the 19th until the 31st is also quite high. So make sure that you take a breath before you react. And if you really do need to lay into someone and say, I have always felt that you've hated me, you know, which is a pointless discussion to have, because you can't change people's feelings about you. And if you launch into a conversation like that, it's not going to go anywhere constructive. So use your energy in a constructive way. Focus on improving your working life and your working situation rather than going down that road. So if you would like a personal reading with me, that's what I get for this week. Have a wonderful week. If you would like to get in touch, it's gregoryscott.com. And in my personal readings, I use astrology, tarot, and numerology. In my personal readings, I use all three divination systems as well as my intuition. So, because I'm a quadruple earth sign, I use divination systems, the symbols, I read the symbols, and that then gives me intuitive messages that come in. I either hear things or see things in my mind's eye, or I feel a certain truth or a certain idea just pops into my head. I draw up your astrology chart by using your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, then order a chart rectification with me. That's a process where I work out your time of birth. So that's on special services on gregoryscott.com. Once I have your birth chart in front of me, it really is a blueprint of your soul. It's a snapshot of the sky at the moment you were born. It shows me what your vocational talents are, what your life purpose is, what's destined for you in love and finances and moving, where the best place is for you to live on planet Earth. I use the astrocartography for that. I use predictive astrology to look at what's coming up for you in different areas, career progression, communication, breakthroughs, what's coming up. I don't have any medical qualifications, but I look at your health via the astrology and see what's coming up there. Also, I can look at what your strengths and weaknesses are and how you can kind of turn the volume down on the weaknesses and build up the strengths so that you can benefit from that. So if you're interested in having any questions answered, or you feel like you need some guidance in life, or you're going through a Saturn return and you feel like you're at a crossroads and you have to do something but you don't know what, and you don't want to take another misstep, then check in with me first before you take that action, just to make sure that you're doing the right thing. I'm just thinking about myself. You know, I trained, I had a degree and then a master's degree, and then I worked in one job and then another job and then another job, and it was just like I put all this effort to build myself up in these careers, and they were all wrong for me, and it was a waste of time. If I'd known what my real purpose was, I could have saved myself so much pain, and I'd be much further along now than I am. But you know, there's no point crying over spilt milk. I'm just grateful that at some point I did find work that I love to do and that I feel is my life purpose. Also, I was busy with my whole addiction and depression and anxiety thing. That was rather time consuming. So have a wonderful week. If you do want to get in touch for a personal reading, it's gregoryscott.com. If you like my videos, hit the subscribe button and share the video. That would be awesome. Have a fab week. I'm repeating myself now, on and on. But have a wonderful couple of days, and I'll speak to you next week.